If I lost everything tomorrow and had to start my brand from absolute zero, I would not do what most people do. I wouldn't just pick a product and start posting. I would do these 3 specific things in a specific order that I'm confident would get me to 6 figures fast. Here's the thing about building a brand in 2026. The game has changed. The way you would have built in 2020, 2021, even 2022 is not the same as how you need to build today. The market is more saturated. Consumers are more conscious about where they're spending their money. The algorithm is more competitive, and brands that are winning are not necessarily the ones with the most products or the most followers. They're the ones who have the right foundation. So if I had to start over from scratch today with everything I know now, I would strip all the way back to these 3 foundational moves, just these solid 3. Because building a 6-figure brand is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right few things with intention and strategy. If you're new here, hey Bomb CEO, I'm Chanel the Brand Hustler, and this is the channel where product founders come to build a bomb brand and rise in demand. If that sounds like you, hit the subscribe button and join the Bomb CEO community. Now, before we get started, I want you to grab your notebook because we're gonna workshop through this in real time. Do you have your notebook yet? If so, comment build in all caps so I can know that you are serious. Heads up, I gotta be clear about something before we dive in. These 3 steps are foundational. That means everything else that you do, your marketing, your launches, your content strategy, your email list, all of it gets built on top of these. I want you to think about it like the foundation to a house. If you skip them or rush through them, everything you build on top will be shaky. But if you get these right, everything else becomes so much easier. All right? Let's get into step number 1. The very first thing I would do if I were to start a product brand from zero is I would make sure I was building a product rooted in my skill and my expertise. A huge mistake new business owners make is they copy what's trending or follow what someone told them was a good idea. Sometimes though, it does work out. A lot of times it does not. But building something rooted in a real place, what you actually know, what you actually do, and what you can actually prove that you've done, that works every single time. Especially if you use the framework I'm about to break down for you right now. The framework I created for this is called PSR. It stands for Passion, Skills, and Receipts. Follow along in your notebook as I walk through this because you're gonna wanna map this out in real time for real. The first circle is passion. When I say passion, I mean the things that genuinely light you up, the things you find yourself talking about without anyone ever asking, the topics you can research for hours and not feel tired, and the areas of life where you naturally gravitate. Is it wellness, hair care, skincare, organization, finance, fashion, home design, cooking, fitness? Whatever it is, get it into that first circle. The second circle is going to be skills. And skills are different from your passions. You might be passionate about something that you're not skilled at. And you might be skilled at something that you're not passionate about. Skills are what you can actually do and do well. What have you been trained on? What certifications or degrees do you have? What have you spent time, quality time, getting good at? What do people come to you for advice on? Get those in the second circle. And then the third circle, this is my favorite one, baby. It is receipts. When I say receipts, I mean proof, evidence, results. Who have you actually helped? What have you actually achieved? Maybe you helped 10 people lose 15 pounds. Maybe you helped 20 clients regrow their edges. Maybe you've been sewing for 10 years and you have a portfolio of full custom pieces. Maybe you've been managing your own finances so well that your friends always come to you as the money girl. Those are receipts. Collect them, you'll need them. Now, the center is where the magic happens. Or should I say it's where the money's, the moolah, the manyan, that's where all of that lives. That is your sweet spot. This is where your product idea lives, When you have a passion that aligns with your skill and you have receipts that prove you've put in the work, you have the foundation for a product that is not only something that you're qualified to sell, but something you can speak about with authority. Something that has a story behind it, something that people will trust. A little lost? Well, let me show you exactly how this plays out. Let's say your passion is wellness, your skill is meal planning, and you happen to be a certified dietitian. And your receipts, you have helped 10 people lose 15 pounds. Right there in the center for you, your product ideas literally write themselves. You can have a 4-week metabolic reset program, a digital planning meal system, a recipe book called Cheat on It, healthy desserts that don't derail your goals. Or let's try a little something different. Let's say your passion is hair care. Your skill is that you're a scalp specialist. You know how to mix oils and scalp treatments super well. Your receipts is you've helped dozens of clients regrow their edges. The center of your Venn diagram is Edge Restoration Oil, a growth support scalp serum, a 30-day regrowth challenge kit. See, those products are the difference between a product that's random and one that's rooted. And rooted products are the ones that build real brands. All right, step number 2, and no, this is not just gonna be know your target audience. I've heard that advice a million times, and so have you. And most people still don't know what they're talking about, and they don't do it deeply enough. I am talking about obsessing over your target audience as the second steps. I'm talking about knowing your ideal customer so well that when you write a caption, it feels like you wrote it specifically for one person. Inside of my Bomb CEO community, I call this your bullseye. And today is your lucky day because I'm about to share the concept with you right now. The outermost ring is going to be your demographics. This is their age, gender, income level, education, occupation, marital status, whether they have kids or not. This is where most people stop, and funny enough, it's the most surface level of all 4 layers. If that's all you've been working with to describe your target audience, comment surface in all caps. I'm not judging you, but we are about to get so much deeper. Demographics are the basic facts about your person. It's equivalent to you saying my audience are women ages 25 to 40. Respectfully, that is not a bullseye. We need to go deeper, which brings me to the second ring, and that is geographics. Where does your person live? Not just what country, but what kind of environment? Are they urban, suburban, rural? What city or region? What's the culture like where they are? What's the cost of living? This matters more than you realize. A product founder in Atlanta and a product founder in rural Mississippi may both be women in their 30s, but they are not the same customer. Their environment shapes their behaviors, their spending, their priorities. That's what goes in that second ring. The third ring is going to be your psychographics. Now, this right here is where it gets juicy. Psychographics are about who your person is on the inside. What do they value? What do they believe? What are they afraid of? What do they aspire to be? What motivates their decisions? This is where you start to really understand what makes your bullseye tick. Because most people don't buy products based on facts alone. They buy based on how something makes them feel and whether or not it aligns with who they believe themselves to be or who they want to become. And then the deepest layer. This is going to be your behavior. How does your person actually act? Where do they spend their time online? What do they watch? What do they listen to? What do they read? And what platforms are they on and when? What do they buy? How often do they buy? And what makes them decide to buy? This is your most valuable layer because it tells you not just who your person is, but what they actually do. And that's what you need to know to reach them. When you go this deep on your bullseye, everything else becomes more precise. Your messaging hits harder because you're speaking their language. Your visuals appeal to them because you know their aesthetic. Your campaigns answer real questions because you know what they're asking. And you finally stop guessing and start knowing. And knowing is the difference between content that converts and content that just gets likes. If this section just made you realize that your audience's profile is way fuzzier than you thought, good, because that awareness is actually the first step. Here's what I want you to understand. That fuzziness isn't really an audience problem. It's a symptom of one of the 3 brand gaps that are quietly killing your product sales right now. And until you can name which gap is yours, no worksheet, no activity, no poll is going to move the needle. That's exactly what we're getting into inside of the Profitable Brand Masterclass. It is a live class that I built specifically for product founders where I am going to walk you through all 3 gaps, help you spot which ones are showing up in your brand, and break down what each one is actually costing you in sales, visibility, and demand. If you've been doing all the right things and your numbers still aren't matching your effort, this is the room you need to be in. The link is in my description, so grab your spot. And when you register, you'll see the Profitable Brand Power Pack at checkout. Grab it because it's the toolkit that I worked so hard on creating to help you move on what you learned the same day you learn it. It includes a set of bullseye AI prompts that will help you go even deeper on your audience the minute you get it. Okay, now let's get into step number 3. And this one ties everything together. Once you have a product rooted in your skill and expertise, and once you know your bullseye inside and out, you need to get in front of them. And the way I would do this is by building community. To do this from zero, I'd start with story-driven content. And I'm not talking about sharing your entire life online because I don't want you to overshare or be messy or perform for the internet. This is about understanding that stories are stickier than facts. Think about it. If I said to you, skincare is important, you might nod your head, but you're going to keep scrolling past. But if I said, I didn't do my skin routine for a whole week and baby, my skin was drier than the Sahara Desert, that's already a hook and a story opener for you to want to dive into what the heck happened. That hook will make you feel something. And when your content feels like that, when it's sensorial, when it paints a picture, when it takes the person somewhere, it builds connection. And connection is what builds community. And community is what builds sales. I'm going to break this down as simply as I can. I really want you to lock this in, okay? Because from years of storytelling, journalism classes, performance, drama, arts, pageants, all of it, I'm telling you that there's a simple framework that changes everything about how you see stories. Every good story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Characters, a scene, and a problem that needs solving. That's it. When you apply that to your brand's content, everything will shift. For your brand, your holistic story, your overarching narrative comes from your journey. Your experience with the problem you're solving, whether that's firsthand, secondhand, or even thirdhand, that's going to be your foundation. But you're not just telling your story over and over again. You're finding unique ways to tell stories that connect to your audience, stories about them, stories that make them feel seen, stories that make them think, whoa, she's talking about me. Once you understand the role of storytelling in your content, you develop what I call story pillars. Your story pillars are the core themes or narratives that your brand consistently returns to. They're rooted in your PSR and they're shaped by your bullseye's world and what they care about. And from those story pillars, you create content buckets. Your content buckets are the categories of content that live under each pillar. Every piece of content you create should fall into one of those buckets. Let me give you a little sneak peek at my CEO brand story build out. Let's hop behind the screen. All right, so since we're talking about story pillars, I'm going to zone in on one of mine, and that is abundance. And the way that I even came to abundance is you actually have to know the visibility pillars that you need to create. And one of those visibility pillars is called proof. And within proof, for me and for my brand, it's not just about the money. It's actually about the lifestyle, the peace, the freedom, and the options that come from that. And more specifically, the options that come from my faith, my strategy, and my stewardship. So when I'm thinking about my story pillars, I thought about my core beliefs and I thought about all of those things. And that's what helped me arrive to the point of abundance and my abundant life as an actual story pillar. Then when it comes to me writing scripts or taking certain angles or directions on my content, I think about the three things that my story are rooted in. And that's faith as the foundation beneath the strategy as the plan that honored the vision that God gave me, and then stewardship of how I managed what was actually given, or in some cases, how I feel like I'm dropping the ball, right? And so I actually did a FaceTime like video where I shared how I felt like I was dropping the ball in comparison to when I was in corporate. And that right there is a golden example of how I used my abundant story in a full storyline to create a piece of content. So when we talk about taking a story pillar and translating it into a post, it actually starts from your content bucket first. For me, I have content buckets, and one of my content buckets is the abundant life, right? And so within the abundant life, the reason why I have the bucket and I don't do your typical content pillars is because content pillars are too rigid for me. So I have content buckets that allow me to free flow, and as long as the things can tie back into that overarching story, it can fit in the bucket. So here are just some of the examples of what's within my content bucket. I have travel, I have marriage, my home, gifts and celebrations, luxury, abundance mindset. And so that can range from me sharing a reel about me in Bora Bora and narrating it about how grateful I am and how hard work played a part of this and how I'm being rewarded with the fruit and so on and so forth. I can also do something similar for my home. Like, let's say I'm turning my home into, like, part of my home into a cafe, which I actually am. That's a part of abundance for me. And so I can showcase that. And whenever I am storytelling in the caption or narration or face to camera, I'm going to make sure that I'm injecting certain emotions and certain pieces of the overarching story as it pulls from the abundant life. So this is like one of my favorite story pillars that I have. So I wanted to share it with you. And yeah, hopefully this helps seeing a little insight into this. Now, this is something that I go way deeper on inside of the Brand Accelerator. And while enrollment isn't open right now, I may just be opening it during the masterclass. So if you're not registered for the Profitable Brand Masterclass yet, that's another reason you want to be in this room. Developing your specific story pillars and your content buckets is deeply personal to your brand. It requires knowing your PSR, it requires knowing your bullseye, and it requires you understanding your unique position in the market. That's something I go deep on with my clients and inside of my programs. And the opportunity to work with us starts by attending the Profitable Brand Masterclass. So if you haven't grabbed your spot yet, the link is still in the description, and I'll even make it a pinned comment to make it easy for you. Now, let's bring this baby on home, okay? PSR gives you a product worth building, something rooted in what you know, what you love, and what you can prove. Your bullseye gives you a person worth building it for, someone you understand so deeply that your content feels like it was written just for them. And story-driven content is how you get in front of that person and make them feel something real enough to trust you. 3 steps, 1 foundation. Everything else gets built on top of it. Get it right first, then build. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and you actually workshop through these 3 steps with me, comment 6 figures in all caps right now, because that's you saying the foundation is getting laid and you are building towards something real. So go ahead and comment 6 figures in all caps. Now, if you're wondering what planning a month worth of story-driven content looks like, you're going to want to watch my video on how I planned 31 days of worth of content in just 1 hour. Click somewhere on the screen to watch that video next, and make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one, Bomb CEO. Bye.